am so glad you're here. Abby England is such a treat. You guys, she's only been in her role. This is only her second year. She is just rocking it in Indiana. She's going to give you one tip that is guaranteed. And I'm going to say guaranteed. She's not going to say guaranteed, but I'm going to say guaranteed to get you more content from your staff. Who doesn't want more content from their staff? I don't know of anybody of getting great stories. One simple thing, and she's going to tell you all about it. We're going to walk through all the logistics. It's an easy thing to do once a week. Might take you 15 minutes and you're going to get more content. She's going to share the best stories. She's going to share how she runs social media for her school district of 4,000. She's going to give you some amazing time-saving tips that are really going to help you feel in control. And again, Abby's a one-person shop, guys. A lot of you are. You're not even an official communications person, but you're responsible for social media. This episode is for you. And the book that is for you, if you have not grabbed my book, Social Media for Schools, guys, pick it up. Now is the time. You're in the school year. This is a book that's not necessarily read cover to cover, although you could, but it is, hey, you can tab it out. You can use it as a source. It's split up into sections and split up into chapters that are really going to help you with your specific issue. The byline is proven storytelling strategies and ideas to celebrate your students and staff while keeping your sanity. We've sold over like 1,500 copies of this book. You guys, you need to grab yours so that you can have an easier time with social media and know what truly works. I've got a link for it in the show notes. You can also just Google Social Media for Schools. You can check it out on Amazon or wherever books are sold. All right, let's get to this week's K-12 PR tip. All right, this week's K-12 PR tip is a little lesson to your staff, showing them the power of the share. Okay. I just recently kicked off the school year with Lake Holcomb School District in tiny little Lake Holcomb, Wisconsin. And I think Lake Holcomb maybe is even unincorporated. Like it's not an official town. It's an area. It's just a small school of about 300 students. Okay. And I told the staff, we took a staff photo and I said, okay, now all of the staff, we're going to ask you to share this post on your channels and comment, and we're going to see how many people this post reaches. Our goal was to beat my little school district of New Auburn because we had reached over 6,000 with our back to school post. Well, guess what? You guys, we had like over 45 shares, and that post, they only have 1,500 followers on that page. They reached over 10,000 people. 10,000 because of the power of the share. So what I want to tell you is, you know that because you've been listening to me for a while, you know the power of engagement on your social media posts, especially on Facebook, likes, comments, shares. But the most powerful way of reaching more people is that share button. How about teaching your staff the power of it and just asking them, hey, we're going to be posting this on Friday. It's going to be a shout out to all of our amazing staff. We want you sometime over the weekend to hit the share button and say, I love working for this school, or I'm so pumped about this project, or whatever it is. Okay. Just pick one post, ask everybody to share it. You can, slightly ask, hey, help us spread the news, or can you help us share this post? But then what I want you to do is afterwards, you are going to screenshot that reach and you are going to let your staff know that their shares really mattered. Because once they understand how social media works, guess what? They're more willing to share other awesome things that they see. Okay, that is your tip this week. Do it and you will see more significant reach this entire school year. Okay, now let's dig into so many good tips from Abby England out of Indiana. I'm so excited for you to meet her. So let's get started. Good morning, Abby England. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
The last time I saw you, we were in St. Louis at the
Yes.
NSPRA seminar, weren't we?
Yes. What a crazy fun week. That was so
It
fun.
it was crazy fun, and now we're already in the school year. It's hard to believe, but I'm so excited to have you on the show today. And I wanted, after you told me what you told me at NSPRA, I'm like, you need to be on my podcast. So why don't you share your background and then your role as communications coordinator in your district?
Yeah, so I actually went to Ball State University and studied journalism and telecommunications. And I've always had sort of a passion for storytelling, but that definitely kind of drew me more in the direction of creative storytelling rather than mostly journalistic. And so I got really into the video and the audio side of things, and I got to continue writing, which I love. And so after college, I had a couple writing jobs, just because I was a fresh baby in the field. But then I started moving towards the communications field a little more, and I stumbled upon Danville Community School Corporation. And while I never in a million years expected myself to end up at a school corporation, I mean, I didn't study education at all. I never thought I would become anything close to a teacher ever. This is where I'm at, and it's the best job for me. It's perfect for me in every way, and I get to use all of those creative storytelling skills and all of those fun people skills that I love to have. And it's been really great. I'm entering year 2 here and still loving it every second of it.
That's awesome. So when did you graduate from college?
I was a COVID grad, so I was 2020.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I you look pretty young, so I didn't know when you graduated. Okay, and what a treat to get into the creative writing space really like you're in and then tell really positive stories, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because that is, I love storytelling and I love telling stories no matter what, but sometimes the negative ones are just, they're so draining. And that is unfortunately a lot of what you get with news journalism. And so, kind of coming into the more positive PR side of building companies up, or in this case, building school corporations up, it's been a lot better for me personally.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Danville Community School Corporation. Like, what's the size? How many schools? All of that.
Yes, we're actually pretty tiny. We only have 4 schools, but we are growing substantially. We have quite a few new neighborhoods being built because we have a lot of land here that is undeveloped at this point in time. So we got a lot of those fun neighborhoods popping up, and we're really excited for all the new kiddos. But we like to follow the mentality that you get to stay with the same friends your entire school career. So they go to North Elementary for kindergarten, first and second grade, and then South Elementary for third and fourth grade, and then middle school for fifth through eighth, and high school for ninth through 12th. So they get to kind of stick together their whole school career, and it's really nice.
That's awesome. And about how do you know about how many students are there?
Yeah, roughly about 4,000, slightly
Okay.
under, but that's, last year when I got candy canes for everyone, it was about 3,500.
Oh,
That's how I measure.
well, that's awesome. What was the candy canes for?
Our superintendent and our assistant superintendent for instruction and our chief financial officer, they actually dressed up as Santa, the Grinch, Scrooge, and they went around and handed out candy canes to every single student, and it was really cute.
Oh, that's awesome. So, how what was I just gonna say? Oh, are you the only person in your district, like for the communications role?
Yes, I'm a one-man band.
Okay. And when you got hired, was it already existing that role or was it a new role?
Yes, the person prior to me had started the role, so she kind of laid the groundwork for a few years, and then I took over.
Okay, awesome. Well, that is perfect. That's so fun. And you probably, like you were talking about writing and video and all of that, I'm sure you get to do a lot of that in your role.
Yes.
And obviously this is a social media, mastering social media for schools podcast. So I want to kind of focus in a little bit on some of your social media storytelling efforts. So how does social media fit into your role and what channels do you run and how does that all work?
Yeah, so I run our district pages for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and YouTube, which we really only use for videos, but I do. I
Yep.
have our YouTube account, and I try to post there as often as possible because, as is most of life right now, social media is our number one way of communicating. We can hit so many people, whether they're they have students in the district or not, if they're just living in the community and are curious about what we're doing. So that's kind of my favorite way to communicate with people. So truly, anytime I take a photo or work on a video project or do anything, I try to put that on social media. So I'm posting very often, and it does take up quite a bit of time, but it's a necessary time consuming task, I'd say.
Yeah, and we're going to link to all of your channels in the show notes so that people can take a look at what you're sharing, which will be awesome. So you do the district channels, being a district of just 4,000 students and 4 schools. Are there any other social media channels that are run within your district?
Yeah, we do have a few. So our athletics, they have their Twitter account is very, very active,
Okay.
in kind of little groups like that. So I think
Okay.
we have a fine arts one. I think there's a robotics club one. So people can kind of create their own.
Yep.
But the big ones that are tied to the district are me.
Okay. And I didn't hear you say that you have social media channels for the schools. So you kind of celebrate everything on the district channels?
Yes, yeah. So that happened before I came here, but our last communications coordinator kind of combined all of them into one just to make things easier. I think she was running all 4 schools plus the district, and it was becoming kind of a lot, if you can imagine. So,
Yeah, exactly. Or you get some people running the school pages and some do a great job and some post once a month
yeah,
and then they're not reaching very many people anyways. So, like you said, I mean, your emphasis on, hey, you get to stay with your friend group, all through school. Those kindergartners are someday going to be high schoolers. So, those parents want to know what's happening at the high school too, right?
yeah. I
That's
think it, yeah, I think it helps for parents and grandparents as well who have kids at multiple schools. There's less to follow, which sounds really silly, but honestly, it is nice.
I tell everybody, Abby, like I have 6 kids. They
Oh my
happen to go
goodness.
to school in 2 different states, and now there are only 2 of them left in high school. But if at one point I was just in your district with 6 kids and had one at each school or a couple at each school, and
Yeah.
then the district pages, there's just a lot to follow. And so I think that consolidated storytelling effort is huge. So how do you, as a one-person shop, how do you get those stories to share on those social media channels?
Uh, Multiple different ways.
Okay.
I constantly, constantly, constantly encourage all of our staff to send me whatever photos they get. So
Okay.
if they're in the hallway and they see something cute and they grab a photo with their phone, or if they have a camera, just email it to me. Very easy. And tell me a little bit about what's happening. I don't want to have to like make something up, obviously, because that would not be good. But give me a brief description of what you captured and why you thought it was so cool, and then I will share it. And I would say 99% of the time I do share whatever is sent to me. But
Okay.
I also do carve out some of my own time. I take my camera and I try to go to each school building to get a lot of photos. And a goal that I kind of started halfway through last year is I pick one classroom per grade each month. So it is a bit of an undertaking, but I set aside, 15, 30 minutes per classroom to ask the teacher, hey, can I come in for 15 minutes one day, get a couple photos of you doing a reading project or a math project or something cool that you're working on? And they're typically very responsive to this. So I do try to get age representation from each grade, and I try to go in as often as possible. And then while I'm there, if I walk past the computer lab and something cute's happening, I'll take a photo. Or if lunch is really fun that day, I'll take photos in there. So I try to just gather as much as I can while I'm in the building.
Okay. So I really, really love this goal that you set for yourself. So you're saying every month you try to get in one classroom per grade, which is
Yes.
probably pretty easy in K through 4, but then you get into middle school and high school. How do
Yes.
you approach that?
So I do kind of tend to clump together at the high school level. I guess per grade is more generous there, but
Yep.
I do kind of try to do it by subject as well. So,
Okay.
maybe go to one related arts class and one core class like math, science, history. Trying to kind of try to get more representation in there and not maybe classify them by age. But with middle school, I have a staff directory and each of the teachers are labeled by what grade they teach, so I can kind of continue on that path.
Okay, that's really good. And then, so another logistics question for everybody listening to this and be like, okay, how could I do this? So, if you are going to do your kindergarten first and second, who are all in the same building, do you try to hit each classroom in one visit, or are you splitting those up?
It's very nice when it works out that way, but it
Okay.
often doesn't. Yeah,
Okay.
it's usually the teacher will respond because I do like to also give the teachers kind of the freedom to tell me what works for them because I do understand, there might be a behavior problem they're addressing that day and they don't want me in there, or they're doing testing one day and they don't want me in there. So one teacher might say, "Hey, we're making puppets about this story on Friday," and another teacher may say they're doing marshmallow science on Tuesday. So I do kind of spread it out, which it would be nice if I could do it all in one day and it would save some time, but it's up to the teachers. I want to make them as comfortable as possible with the process.
Okay. That's good because that puts it in perspective too for people who maybe have more than 4 schools and they're like, I can't get to every class and every
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah.
Your goal, listeners, might just be, hey, I want to try to get to each school once a month. Or for
Yeah.
you really big schools out there, you've got feeder patterns. And so you kind of split those groups up and maybe you just try to get to every school once a quarter or
Yeah.
something like that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I
I think
love
it's a
that.
great goal. And I've heard pretty good feedback from community members and parents saying, it's really great that I can see my 13-year-old and my 5-year-old on the social media page because it is very easy and teachers are more inclined to send content of the younger kids because they're doing such the cute little kid projects. But parents care about what their 13 through 18-year-olds are doing too. And some of those projects are really formative and like they shape their education. So I think it's really cool that we get the opportunity with the size of our district to share all grades.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you're going out and you're getting things, but you also rely on staff. And you ran up to me and said at in St. Louis, and you're like, you implemented one simple practice that's really making a difference. So can you tell me about that?
Yes, of course. So I got the pleasure of listening to you talk about Instagram and then gathering content for social media at the Indiana Inspra conference in the spring. And you mentioned these thank you notes that you had, and you gave everyone a little pad. And I took them back and I decided, that was a really good idea. And I have a few teachers that send me content monthly, if not weekly. They just really love celebrating their students. So I started there and I sat down and I wrote, I'd say about 5 to these teachers saying, thank you for being a rock star and always sending me this content. It helps a lot. I really appreciate it. And I tape a little piece of chocolate to it and I send it on the way and they get it and they open it and it's very cute. Well, after I started doing that, I noticed they were sending even more. And then some of their close teacher friends started sending more. So I took it a step further and I said, if I get something sent to me just randomly out of the blue, unprompted, I will write them a thank you note as well. And then I started getting even more from that. And so I quickly ran out of all the thank you notes you gave me. So I ended up creating my own that was kind of branded for Danville. And now I give them out if they send me photos unprompted, if they invite me to their classroom, if they share something another teacher's doing with me that they think I should go check out, they get a thank you note with a piece of chocolate. And I thought it was going to be something kind of small because it doesn't take that much time for me to show that appreciation. But I've walked into offices and seen them on bulletin boards, displayed on a little shelf. I've had teachers pull me aside and say that they really appreciated it. It gave them a smile. So it has had such great feedback and it's worked really well. I've gotten a lot more content as a result of it.
That is so awesome. And it's such a little thing. Now, we're on YouTube as well. Do you have a thank you note that you could hold up?
Yes.
You have one close? And then
Yeah.
maybe what we can do is we can put it in the show notes. We'll get a link to
Yeah.
it. And is
Yeah.
that made out of postcard material?
It is. It's like a thick, colorful construction paper almost.
Okay. And then is
Um,
there anything on the back or no?
There's nothing on the back. This
Okay.
is so I'll fold it in half and I'll tape the piece of candy to it. So right here I put my message and then at the bottom it has all of our social media on it so they know, hey, I shared that photo and it's going to be shared in these places. I should go check it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then what piece of chocolate do you tape to it? Do you vary it or do you
It
keep?
varies. Yeah, I try to avoid anything with peanuts just because that's a really common allergy, but I'll do
Yep.
like a little mini Hershey's bar, a little Milky Way. We have some Twix here, so I just kind of take it from the stash we have in our like staff appreciation closet. And I put whatever we have, whatever sounds yummy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And those of you that are listening, you might be able to think some of you get really creative and there could be a tie-in with social media and the candy, but don't overthink it. I mean, these teachers just appreciate candy
I love it.
and mostly the note, right? And
Yeah.
handwritten notes, you guys, are becoming such a rarity these days because of the technology world. So you obviously could easily send them an email
Hmm.
that gets mixed in with the other 50 emails they get during the
Yep.
day. So now are you delivering these to do all of your staff members have like a mailbox? Is that what you're putting them in?
Yeah, I put them in their mailboxes. I don't typically use our inner office mail system because of the candy. I don't want it to melt.
Right.
So
Or get
I
taken.
will, yeah, I'll divide them by school. And if I'm going to the middle school one day, I'll take the little stack I have and put them in the mailboxes myself and put their little piece of candy there.
Yeah. So how often do you write those thank you notes? Do you like try to save it up at the end of the week or are you doing it like every day that you're kind of just taking a little bit of time?
Yeah, right now I'm not getting as heavy of a load just because, school's getting kind of back into the process. So I'm probably writing one or two a week right now. But
Okay.
towards the end of last year, I would make a list throughout the week and take some time on a Friday morning and write probably between 5 and 10 and then bring them to the schools. So
Okay.
I set aside one chunk of time each week because it is a lot.
Yeah, and then you can kind of get in the mode. Okay, so I
Mhm.
really like that. And again, we are all about really practical tips. You're sharing so much good stuff, Abby, and I knew we would.
Thank you.
But you're just writing down a list as the week goes and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I got to write that, thank you. And then you've kind of got a little bit of time on a Friday that you're sitting down and then I'm assuming maybe you deliver on Monday or
Yeah,
whenever you
whenever
can.
I can. If I can do it before all the schools let out on Friday, I will, like maybe during lunchtime.
Okay.
But I try to do it in the morning. So Monday morning would be a perfect time. And then, who doesn't love a little treat on a Monday morning when they come in for work?
Yes, I agree. And it's going to come in handy in one of those afternoons where it's like they didn't get a chance to eat or,
Yes.
whatever. Um, that's awesome. So did you print those yourself or did you
Mhm.
order those out to get printed?
I designed it on Canva and then printed it at my office.
Just printed it in your own office. Okay. So you could do, and some people have done like official postcards. I mean, we have thank you cards that are postcards that we
Mhm.
mail out because we do social media for 82 school districts across the country. And yes, you can send, we can easily for free send an email. Unfortunately, we can't paste a piece, tape a piece of chocolate because
Yeah.
that definitely wouldn't make it in the mail.
Would melt.
But it's just crazy. Are you surprised with how well it's working in regards to how much more content you've been getting?
I was truly so surprised. Like I said, I thought it was just going to be, I was going to send it to those teachers and just sort of show them that I appreciated what they did throughout the year. When I started getting more and more over this, I do love doing it and I love showing them appreciation, but it really is a simple thing for me to write down, hey, thank you for sending me this. And I do try to personalize them as much as I can, but again, I mean, it doesn't take me more than a minute to write these. It's just a few sentences on each card, and to see the reaction to it and how much they appreciated it, it almost warmed my heart more than it probably warmed theirs to get it because it was such a small thing for me to do. And I loved how excited they got about it and seeing it on display in classrooms and then them telling their friends and getting more and more photos as a result over a piece of chocolate and a little note. I mean, that's crazy. And I love it. It's so exciting to me.
Yeah, and you're having those feelings anyways. Everybody listening, like when you get something sent to you and you can use it, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I
Yes.
love you."
Yeah.
This is amazing. And so just being able to show that little bit and we've all heard the importance of gratitude
Mhm.
and showing gratitude to others. but just the fact that not only you getting a lot out of it, Abby, like that being meaningful to you and your work, but
Yeah.
then that it's like a circle, like a ripple effect that then ends up coming back to you.
Yeah. And I do really love the side of it that it sets a precedence for teamwork as well, which is something I really, really, really try to get the message out about, that I'm here for them. I want to appreciate them. I want to celebrate them every step of the way. I want to be their biggest advocate. And so, I can't talk to every single one of them every single day. And so just having that extra step and giving myself a little bit more of a presence in their life, which is this one personalized letter that isn't just a mass email from me telling them updates for the week. I think it helped a lot with that on both sides. There's more of a connection now between me and almost every other staff member here, which is great.
So I got a question for you that some of you are thinking, and because some people you get a lot of stuff from. So
Mhm.
do you at all try to rotate through who you write the thank yous to? Like if you're like, okay, Mrs. Smith, I love you, but you're not going to get a piece of chocolate every single week.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
kind of have that in the back of your mind a little bit that you try to distribute it?
Definitely, because I
Okay.
still have, those 5 I originally started, they send me so much, and it's because they do things as a team. So there's a middle school team that they were high on my list, that they celebrate students once a month for different awards. They send me those every month. And
Okay.
so writing a note every single time they do that felt redundant.
Yep.
So I save that one for the end of the year, and I say, thank you for providing all of these. And I might give them a bigger piece of candy just to kind of, hey,
Yeah.
you did a lot, but I can't write 15 letters for the same kind of thing.
Right.
So I do try to clump those together. Or if there's a teacher that sends me, 4 different sets of photos in a month, I think 1 or 2 thank you notes is fine for that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So use your judgment on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it, Abby. It's so simple. And I'm sure I got the idea from somebody else. I get all these ideas. But yeah, we actually had a notepad that you could get printed that just say thank you. But I love how you use those up. You took time to personalize yours. Simply made it in Canva, made sure to put your social channels on there.
Yeah.
And are just folding those up and giving those out. So that's awesome, and you definitely, that is something you plan to continue doing, I'm assuming.
Definitely, definitely. I think it's done its job so far, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get rid of it now.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's out of that or other, storytelling techniques, but I'd love to ask you, what are some of the best stories that you've been able to share for Danville, that you've shared on social media? Do you have one or two favorites?
I have a recent favorite that was
Okay.
really heartwarming. Really, truly, anytime we have a staff or a student award, people love it on social media. They go nuts over it. But we also, I've noticed, if you get the student and staff interaction piece in there, people go crazy. And we have this custodian at North Elementary, so our youngest elementary school, and she's been there for so long. And all of the kids know her. If you went to Danville or worked at Danville, you know this woman. And she has started this thing this year where she takes 2 kiddos every day outside to raise the flag with her. So, again, something very simple, but they get to interact with Miss Sandy and have a great time with her and kind of learn about the importance of raising the flag. And I got invited over there by the principal to take a photo of it. And I posted it thinking it'd be like a normal post. It blew up, and people in the comments were, in their 20s and 30s talking about, I remember Miss Sandy. I used to always talk to her at lunch. She's the best ever. I'm so happy my kid gets to know her now. And I mean, we had over 300 likes and interactions on it. We had 50 comments. I mean, it was unreal how many people remembered Miss Sandy and got so excited about that small piece of just that one little interaction between staff and students. That just, oh, I loved it. It's probably my favorite story so far that I've gotten to share, just seeing all the reactions from people.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to link that exact post. Okay. I'm going to get
Okay.
that from you so we can show
Okay.
that. And I think, like you said, you never know like what's going to strike a chord with people that they love, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But I also love, just, it is so true. So as you're going into this new school year, anytime you can show that connection between staff and students. And as Abby's example shows, it's not just teachers. It's
Mm,
our paraprofessionals. It's
yeah.
our custodial crew. It's our lunch crew. It's
Mhm.
our bus drivers. Like those are really important interactions that we can highlight. And that is so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's so
I loved it, and I mean, I love Miss Sandy too, so it was great to
right.
celebrate her.
Yeah, and it is cool to highlight staff members who are beloved and who have like worked at the school for, let's just say, 30 years,
Mhm.
because there are going to be people in your community that are like, "Oh my gosh, I remember,
Yeah.
Miss Sandy, like in your case." So that's good. Um Now you share a lot of content on your Facebook page.
Mhm.
So do you have any like time-saving tips either with Facebook or with any of your social media channels?
Yeah, I definitely use Meta Business Suite. If you have Facebook and Instagram, huge time saver in and of itself. But I like to sit down on Monday mornings or this week, Tuesday morning, this
Yep.
morning, and I try to schedule at least one post per day. So I take all the content that I've gathered up from the week before, or if I just have random stuff that wall art or something like that in my camera roll, and I try to get at least one post per day. My goal is 2 to 3 posts per day ultimately. So after I get one post per day, I'll go in and fill in and see if I can add
Okay.
anywhere. So this week I have 2 posts every day, but one day. So I'm going to need to find content for that.
Okay.
um, but once I get all of those scheduled, then I kind of look at it and say, okay, I need to find time to go get photos, or hopefully someone sends me photos and I can fill it in here, here, and here. But if you can get as much as you can get done on Monday, or, one day in the week, get them out 5 days in advance. You won't have to worry about anything slipping through the cracks or missing any important stories, and you won't be missing a story for a day. So even if it's not as many as you wanted, you at least have one good post for the day that you can get interactions on.
Yeah, and it's so brilliant because it sometimes social media feels like, "Oh my god, I got to post something today," or, you're taking that away and you're really able to take control and feel like you're managing social media
Mhm.
instead of social media managing you, which is not a good feeling.
No, because
I
yeah, I mean, you sit down to eat lunch and you're like, "Oh, no, I didn't post anything this morning," and you have to figure it out, whereas you just get it all done at the beginning, you're good.
Yeah, I feel so good when I can look at my week like you and at least have once a day. But many times that when I sit down, I'm able to do two things each day. And then
Mhm.
it's like, oh my gosh, even if I don't get any more pictures, I really only need that Friday afternoon post or whatever.
Mhm.
So a question for you, when you schedule that post per day, what time do you schedule that for?
I've noticed we get a lot of interactions if I post first thing in the morning, maybe around lunchtime, and then towards the end of the day. It could be school day as well. Our elementary schoolers get out around 2:30, and so you have those parents sitting in the car rider line at the middle school right after that. They're interacting with a lot of our stuff. So I would say 8-ish is my goal for the morning,
Okay.
between 7 and 8, and then probably around noon or 1 for that lunch break kind of period of time, and then either dinner time or late afternoon for my other
Okay.
one.
Okay, that is awesome, and that is gold. So as we kind of wrap up, what would you say is your best social media tip? You've given us so much to work with. I mean, this is awesome, but if you had to give just one as your best tip, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say post often. Make sure it's student centered because that's why people are coming to our pages. And make sure you always have more content than you need. You could have 4 school visits planned for the month, and that's not going to get you very far with your photos. So take photos whenever you possibly can. Anytime you see anything happening that might be worth sharing, which so many things are worth sharing, even if you don't think they are. And get those students in the photos. Make sure parents can see their students laughing and smiling at school and posting those cute little moments as often as possible.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think that was one tip, but we won't fault
Yes,
you,
sorry.
Abby, because no, it was awesome. It was really, really good. And all true things that we need to remember. I think another thing just with, you're taking the pictures, is, like you said, take as many pictures as you
Mhm.
can.
Mhm.
And then you'll never know when you could plug those in.
Yeah,
Um, but then also obviously write thank you notes because it works, right?
it works. It works well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so what's the best way to stay connected to you, Abby, if somebody wanted to reach out and maybe ask questions or anything?
I would definitely say my email. I
Okay.
check it religiously, as you would understand. And then I also have my own personal social media accounts that anyone is welcome to interact with me on. I do try to stay pretty active on LinkedIn with my connections. So if you ever want to message me or reach out for a connection and maybe share some ideas with each other, I'd love that.
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure to have your email in the show notes. What is it? Just if could you just say it?
Yeah, it's A England at danville.k12.in.us.
Okay. All right. So we'll get that written down too, and then we'll get your LinkedIn um URL in the show notes as well so people can stay connected. Keep up the great work, Abby.
Thank
You
you
are
so much.
only in year 2. You sound like such a veteran when it comes to like really making this work because a lot of people get into this role and it's so overwhelming.
Yeah,
And believe me, you might think 4,000 students is not a lot, but I have a school of 300. And so you're like
yeah.
over 10 times bigger than mine. So it is a pretty big school, but you've really been able to chunk it down. So so much wisdom. I can't wait to see where all of your storytelling goes. Your school's really lucky to have you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk to me and share the thank you note word.
Yeah, it really works, you guys. So I expect you now out of this, we're going to give a little action item, Abby.
Okay.
When you have uh, created your own thank you note, you can tweet me or X me or email me, Andrea at socialschoolforedu.com. But I want to see your thank you cards. Okay. So once you create yours, let's share them out on social media. I'm at Andrea Gribble out there on X or Twitter or whatever you still call it. Or you can email it to me. But I think it would be fun for us to share our thank you notes with one another and keep inspiring because this is something that truly works. If something works, like you're like, okay, I should probably do this. And so we want to encourage you to take action. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, Abby, and everybody else. We're going to see you again next week with another great guest. And until then, keep telling those stories. Bye, Abby.
Bye. Thank you so much.